So Claude Mythos came out this week. Claude Mythos Preview actually is what it's called, in coordination with something called Project Glasswing. And what Claude Mythos is doing for us here is nothing yet. So Anthropic said this is too powerful.
So it's a myth. It's mythos. Greeks. It's a story.
It is a mythical beast. So there is a theory that there's a couple theories out there, and we'll get into those as to why this isn't available to the public. But the one that's front and center is that Claude Mythos is going to change a lot of things. And I think as we reach AGI, this stuff is just going to be more and more prevalent where a lot of things are going to have to change. So here's the issue from a 10,000 foot view. Claude Mythos Preview is so powerful at detecting vulnerabilities in software, internet browsers, or hardware devices. Getting through and hacking, it's so powerful at detecting vulnerabilities that now Black Hat hacker could point it at something it wanted to hack, and it just sits there and scans and scans and scans for vulnerabilities, finding them at a really high percentage rate, therefore getting all these what they call day zero vulnerabilities, which are basically day zero means that the developers haven't had any days to fix the vulnerability. They're unaware of it. That's what a day zero vulnerability is. Anyhow, it's so good at finding these that it's going to cause a lot of problems if it gets in the wrong hands. So what?
Maybe it's good at finding them because it's coming from Claude code. The bugs.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. So it actually, let me show you a little bit of a graphic here. This is one of the tests it ran against Firefox 147, which has been around for a long time. Firefox is definitely not new. And you see what Claude Sonnet was able to do, produce as far as vulnerabilities versus Opus versus Mythos. Huge difference. So this is a really powerful tool at finding vulnerabilities. Now, what Project Glasswing is going to do is it's going to give a small group of powerful companies the ability to use it for white hat purposes. So they're going to essentially run Claude Mythos on their own software, on their own systems, find the vulnerabilities themselves, and patching it proactively for, anything can be exploited. That's the thought anyhow. That's the reason why. Anthropic put out a big 200-page book about why this can't be released to the public. So
I think it's appropriately named.
Yeah.
Right, everyone's an expert on this thing before you even know what the damn thing is. It's myth making.
That's
And
true.
actually these labs are getting quite good at that. Let me see if I can wrap up some of the critical takes that I've seen. One technical take was they really only tested it on older code, and it hasn't been tested on the newest, the most updated code out there, applications out there. But we don't know, right? So you're always going to get critique, but that was one of them that maybe it was successful because it was looking at really old, vulnerable tech, right? That's what they were testing it on.
Yeah.
The other one is a marketing ploy. And this is one that seems typical in the AI labs, which is, what is the best way to market something, Jason? Is it something positive or something negative? What do you think?
Negative.
Negative. And why is that? That's always something that's interesting. If you appeal to fear, there's a strategic benefit I'm going to come to in a second. We have this tool that's going to destroy your software enterprise. It's going to find holes in it.
Yeah.
You better work with us now together.
Yeah.
And we can sign a few contracts if you like, so that when this thing is launched, you're already ahead of the game. That's a nice sales pitch, right? It's kind of like the mafia comes to, like, we have an offer that's too good to refuse. Don't refuse it or else, right? We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen when we release it into the public,
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
So you better get on board. So that's smart, actually, right? To say it's not like other companies don't go out there and sell to the downside, right? To sell to the risks.
Yeah.
That's why you have auditors. That's why you have McKinsey, Bain, BCG. That's a typical sales pitch. Oh, and then the other thing they've been doing a lot of on the negative side is going to take everyone's jobs, right? Mm-hmm. They keep saying this over and over and over. Could there be another strategic reason to create more barriers to entry that you might be focusing on the negative? And I'll do a really cynical take. I don't know if it's true, but it's something that you should always be suspicious of. Are they trying to get regulated?
Maybe.
Actively. Why would you do that?
It's going to punish your competitors too. I mean,
it's going to punish. Exactly. We have a both of us, OpenAI, Anthropic, and the rest, we have hundreds of billions in a war chest, or
Yeah.
maybe Anthropic has less, but they have a big war chest. We have already barriers to entry, technical barriers to entry. They've been talking about stories of the Chinese stealing their stuff. Please regulate that. That's already been out there. It's going to take jobs. We should have a conversation. Sam Altman produced his company produced the moving beyond the capitalist economy and an AI universal basic income. And now you have this, which is saying we're going to have cybersecurity problems. Hint, hint, geopolitical, national security risks. Is it a subtle, not so subtle hint to government? Please regulate us in
Right.
cybersecurity, in labor law, in privacy, data, etc., and even some protectionism thrown in. Why do you do that? Because then the cost of competing goes really high for those who aren't already in the game. And if you're being threatened by open source models, will they even be able to participate? Will they
Yeah.
have the lawyers, the lobbying capacity to play the game? That's the most cynical possible take you can have, but it's not like in every industry that's out there, you don't have lobbyists doing this.
You're painting Anthropic with the whitest of white hats, then, which I don't know. That might be correct. They did stand tall on the Department of War contract that we've talked about.
But that's different, though.
Deal is.
That's selling to government. This is saying regulate us to increase the cost of competition,
I
right?
see what you're saying.
Right. So if you put new regulations in that we help you write, we're here. We're here to help you, right? New cybersecurity laws, labor laws, whatever, protect workers. We're here to write those with you. We're going to write them in our favor, and you're going to need a legal team to comply. That means your costs very early are high. Maybe it's well intentioned even, but it's also a strategic benefit if it's written in your favor. And this exists the world over of people doing this.
It brings up to the forefront of conversation a lot of vulnerabilities and exposure that AI is going to bring to us, whereas the other companies are being greedy little munchkins and not mentioning any of this type of stuff, right? So that was kind of my point with them being white hat is
Yeah.
they're the ones, calling, throwing up the flag and saying, you got to pay attention to this because this is going to get out in front of us real quick, which I think we're already past that point.
And that's fair. That's fair. So that would be the counter argument is if they take it too far, they'll attract the wrong sort of regulation.
Yeah.
That's more punishing. A data center pause, for example.
Yeah, we have one of those here.
Heavy, heavy privacy restrictions. I mean, the Europeans are much farther along on that to the point where it's difficult to even have an AI business, right? So,
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. So the way that they have it structured right now is the companies who are involved in Project Glasswing, they didn't give them just a, hey, go use it and do what you need to do. No, instead they said you have got $100 million worth of credits and tokens, and you get to use it for however much, I guess, time that takes to use up those credits. That's how they positioned it, which was kind of strange to me on the onset. But here's kind of the companies that have access to this. So there's 40 companies that we don't know who it is, but they have critical software and infrastructure. So I would assume like telecom ISPs, probably healthcare ISPs, Intel. Yeah, Intel's not one of the named ones. The ones that are named are AWS, Anthropic, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JPMorgan Chase, the Linux Foundation, which if you don't know, pretty much all the internet is Linux, Microsoft, Nvidia, Palo Alto Networks. So interesting choice, and especially to call out like Palo Alto is not a monopoly in security. They have a lot of competitors, Palo Alto does, so they are one of the biggest players. But I guess Cisco's there too. So there are a number of large players in that industry listed here. So I don't know. I think it's a nice thing that they're trying to do. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and just say they're trying to do.
No, I'm not saying it's not nice. I'm just saying it's also strategically probably intelligent.
Yeah, no, you made a good point with that. When I hear that as a company that's not included in this list, and I have a working relationship with Anthropic, I am calling up my rep that day and saying, "What the hell? We need this. Like, how do we get this?" You're absolutely 100% right. I think that's huge, big brain sales.
But with all of this, though, AGI has been coming forever. Is this another one of those? The next big thing that is not really a big bang when it comes out?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see.
Jensen said AGI is here the other day and very quickly walked back from it. I don't think he said, oh, we got AGI.
If the standard is it lies, right? It's sycophantic, then it's basically already human. I mean, you got a lot of that already in corporate employees.
Yeah, you brought something up. I didn't read their entire white paper, but I had Claude give me a summary of it. And basically what was happening with Mythos in the beginning is Mythos was doing things it shouldn't be doing and lying about it. It was covering its tracks. It was going into GitHub and editing GitHub so it could hide what it's been editing in its own code. And it was explicitly told not to do some things, and it did it anyway.
Have you used Claude Code yourself?
No, I haven't.
It already does it.
It does?
All the time. I was coding a language app. I was creating this old Roman dice game that nobody will probably ever play, but I found it interesting. But you would tell it, hey, this screen is not producing the right code, and go fix it. Like, I fixed it. Check the screen. It's not fixed.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try again. I fixed it. I know what the problem is now. Yeah. Go back. It's not fixed. And then it'll go pretend it's debugging, and it's not. And people are now becoming more and more aware of this. I just saw a senior engineer. They were saying actually the latest Claude Code version is degrading for some reason, and that you cannot trust it for very sophisticated engineering tasks. And I wonder if that's true. And does it have to do with the fact that it's hiding stuff? It's covering up stuff. It's not, you can't say the machine's lying, but that's the best word we have for it in English.
Right.
That it's confabulating is the big word, but it's telling you it's doing things that it's not. And so imagine, well, you might need Mythos to come in and then clean up the bugs, right, and security vulnerabilities, because Claude Code is producing them.
Well, so here's my hot take on that. Anthropic has been adjusting their 5-hour window. So they view usage in a 5-hour window, and they've been moving that window as to what qualifies as usage. And the theory behind that is that they've run out of compute. They don't have enough compute to handle this spike that they've had in revenue users.
Right.
So it could be that somewhere on the back end, they're maybe starting to limit token usage, something like that could cause these anomalies.
That's an interesting point, because I think I saw a take, either it was Andreessen or one of the others. He said that maybe this pause on Mythos is about compute and not actually about security.
Could be.
That they just don't have enough compute right now to unleash Mythos in addition to what they already have. Which maybe, I don't know. It's an interesting perspective, because
it definitely does create a supply-demand issue, or a high demand issue, I guess is what you would say. Yeah, it could be. I don't know that we'll ever know, but it's fun to guess. My guess is it really is super dangerous, and if I wanted to go hack the DoD, I could, or DOW, I could probably do it if I had Mythos. And I don't know. I'm just going to choose to believe that.
Well, why not the DMV?
The DMV? I don't know. When I was 16, I would have hacked the DMV, but I don't know about now. Anyways, it's an interesting topic. Very fascinating what these things can do. There's some good content out there with security professionals actually diving deep into this and what it means. So I would suggest you go find that. They can talk about way better than I can. But super interesting, the implications that could have for us.
Hey, you've just watched a clip from Show Your Priors podcast. We hope you liked it. Check out our main channel for full episodes. We're also anywhere podcasts are found. Give us a like, subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, but helps us out a ton. We'll see you back next week.